How you guys doing? My name is Najee. So today I want to talk about DNF Duel, partially because I hear that people are getting leaked copies of the game, and so footage of the game is out there, and I still have beta footage that I wanted to use before it becomes completely irrelevant. So that's definitely one reason why I'm doing this, and the other reason is because I don't know, I'm kind of interested in the game. So anyway, so the question of the video is, should you buy DNF Duel? And so the answer is yes, because I need people to play against. But if you don't care about me for some reason, the answer gets a little bit more complicated. If I wasn't planning on making videos, I would probably hold off on buying it in release, to be honest, and I probably would wait for the game to be on sale or something. And it's not really a knock on the game, it's mostly just how I usually buy fighting games. If the game isn't named Guilty Gear, I usually wait a few months just to make sure I actually want to buy the game once I see the game actually being played. But now that I've been a YouTuber for 3 weeks, I feel like I can jump on a bandwagon and make a bunch of videos during the initial hype season. And I don't know, I mean, that might be a little cynical of me, but it's not like I don't like the game either. So, what are the good points of this game? So, one good point is that it looks amazing. The Arc System Works style of 3D, but not really 2D way of doing things is the exact same as it was in Dragon Ball and Kill la Kill and was there any other ones? I mean, obviously Grand Blue and Guilty Gear. And it looks great every time they do it. I don't know what to say. Also, I never played Dungeon Fighter back in the day, but all the character designs look amazing. It's actually very difficult for me to decide what my main is going to be because they all look really cool. And if this were a brand new IP, the designs would basically just sell the game itself. They didn't have to have an old IP to work off of with these characters. They really struck gold with these character designs. And so that's another good reason to pick up the game. It's also really easy from what I remember from the beta. Like, this is kind of a hit or a miss depending on who you talk to, including myself. Like, it's in the niche of like quote unquote easy for newcomers game that everyone's trying to do, even though it never really succeeds in bringing in a newcomers. And it's a problem, which I'll get into in the cons, but the good thing is that you can pick up lots of different characters because they're all 2 buttons and 2 special buttons. And so you can play more of the game than you would have otherwise if the game was more complicated. Like for Guilty Gear, I am never going to play more than 2 or 3 characters, and only if I get bored of Anji, which is very iffy if that'll ever actually happen. So that means like 1/20 something of the game will never be played by me because I'll never pick a different character for a long time. I have to be like forced out of playing Anji for one reason or another. So for Dungeon Fighter, because it's a little bit more casual game, because it's a little bit easier, you can pick up lots of different characters depending on matchups or just because you wanted to have some variety. And it's perfectly fine. And so you might end up playing like half of the game or 2/3 of the game as opposed to 1/20th of the game, like for Guilty Gear. So that's pretty much it for all the pros for me. Now into the cons. It's an easy game. That means that if you're in trouble, if you have a trouble matchup, if a character is giving you problems, there might not be anything you can do about it. You only have 4 specials and 4 EX moves, and if one special kind of sucks for whatever reason, you're just screwed. If your DP isn't great against a character for whatever reason, you might just have to pick a different character. If your character can't deal with a zoner, you're just going to have to find a character that can deal with a zoner, and that's just how it is. So if it were a more complicated game, there'd be more avenues to explore, and maybe find an exploit to get around a certain situation that's giving you trouble. But because it's a simple game, there's very few things that you can do in certain situations, and that could be a problem for some people. It might be a problem for me if I get to play it for a very long time. And another thing is that it's an easy game, so the characters might end up feeling stale very quickly. From what I remember from the beta, I figured out the Inquisitor really quickly. I found out later that there was a jump cancel in a special that didn't exploit, but besides that, I was basically playing it at the level of everyone else. And obviously everyone else was playing it for just like a weekend, like me. But there just wasn't really anything there besides what was given to us. And I don't really see any real high level tech coming out, though it's possible with the more complicated characters that they introduce later, like, oh god, I forgot his name. The guy who has the guy who has a ghost, and also the puppet girl. They might be really complicated. And Swiftmaster seems like he has a few juggle things that might be really fun. So there's still some hope that there would be some variety in games that you can try. But yeah, the problem with like having a constrained moveset, which a lot of fighting games these days are trying to go for, is that you really can only play the game as intended by the creators, and there's very little room for you to decide to do something else that might be a little bit less optimal, but because not very many people do it, it catches people off guard, which I found in older games is possible. Like you could play, I don't know, this is kind of a tangent, but like for instance, in Plus R, I can play Plus R Anji as a zoner, or I could play him as a rushdown character, depending on whether or not the opponent is ready for me to be a rushdown character or a zoner. And so I could kind of throw people off by just deciding to do a mode switch, basically. And in Strive, I can't really do that with regular Anji that well, just because he doesn't have very many moves that can be multi-purpose like that. Anyway, that's a little bit off topic. The bottom line is, though, that because it's an easy game, you run into a problem, or you run into a possibility of a problem, that things will get stale really quickly. And also because it's a simple game, you run into the problem, or possible problem, that some characters will be so strong that there's really nothing you can do to stop them. And if it happens, that'd suck, right? But we don't really know until the game comes out. So, again, to answer the question of whether or not you should buy this game, obviously you should make your own decision, but those are the pros and cons that I can think of. So hit the subscribe button if you want to see more Dungeon Fighter videos. I'm definitely going to do a few like character introductions at least, and then definitely periodic gameplay footage, just like I do with Guilty Gear. And we'll keep doing that until I find something else that'd be fun to do. I'll definitely have more character variety in Dungeon Fighter than Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear, it takes a long time to learn a new character, and so pretty much I'm stuck with Anji, at least for videos. I might be playing some new characters just for fun, but I don't think I could play really anyone at video quality besides Anji. And that's just how it's going to be for Guilty Gear for a bit. But for Dungeon Fighter, because every character is pretty simple, I should be able to figure out game plans for each character pretty quickly, and even if I don't, it's the first couple weeks, so, I mean, everyone's going to be kind of bad in the game, and I shouldn't be any worse. And that's all I got. Hit subscribe if you want, hit like if you want, and I'll catch you later.